Can you imagine that Iran is about to earn $120 billion a year just from transit fees through the Hormuz Strait? And can you imagine that it's because of this war? Iran's gross domestic product will jump from $400 billion to more than $1 trillion. While the world talks about blockade, sanctions and so on, Iran has started receiving money through its central bank. But the disaster isn't here. The disaster is with the ship that paid the price twice, once to a mysterious fraudster and once with an Iranian missile that tore through the hull of this ship. Why did Iran now admit to the secret it had hidden for years? Very important details will be revealed today, but after this break, stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to our renewed meeting today, God willing, in this opinion series, which we always dedicate to keep up with the latest developments and updates in this conflict taking place in the Middle East between Iran and the Epstein Alliance. Today, dear viewers, we have two topics. We will try to read between the lines. The first topic we will start with today is this Iranian admission, which came for the first time in this official manner, stating that Iran, or the Iranian Central Bank, has begun to receive transit fees from the Strait of Hormuz. So, the news was the day before yesterday, of course, and I mentioned it in the episode the day before yesterday, but there were still some things that might not be clear, which made me bring up this topic again. Because what is the secret behind this Iranian admission today when we talk about this issue of the fees and the Strait of Hormuz and other things for a long time? And Iran has been benefiting from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz financially. We've been hearing about this news for days. Iran used to make profits from the passage of these ships, but this is the first time such an official acknowledgement has been made. Why is that? Is it because Iran wasn't receiving the fees before, or what? The truth, so that everyone knows, is that Iran was indeed receiving fees for the passage of these ships, the Strait of Hormuz. But it wasn't through the Central Bank of Iran, it was done using cryptocurrencies, and this was so Iran could hide these financial transactions. So what's new this time is that the payment is being made legally. This time it's officially done through the Central Bank of Iran. This is the first time. It was the day before yesterday, meaning it just started. And this happened for two reasons, so everyone knows. The first reason is due to a strange incident that happened in the past few days. A cargo ship paid the transit fees as it should, then started passing through the Strait of Hormuz when suddenly an Iranian missile hit it. Why? They said it didn't have a transit permit? So the matter was kind of strange. I mean, the ship owner says he paid the fees and was allowed to pass, so why was this ship hit by that missile? But the Iranians say that this ship didn't have a transit permit. So what became clear afterwards is that the ship was scammed in broad daylight out at sea. It turned out that this ship was scammed by people impersonating Iranians, asking for payments in exchange for passage, and the payment was to be made using cryptocurrencies, just like Iran does. The ship paid and thought it was actually dealing with the Iranians, but in reality, it was the victim of a scam. It lost the amount it paid for passage, and then it was hit by a missile strike, suffering severe damage as a result of this Iranian attack, so it now needs repairs, which means there are additional financial losses. That's why Iran decided that payments will now be made through the Iranian Central Bank, and payments with cryptocurrencies will no longer be accepted, so that there is no room left for any loopholes. The scammers, who are believed to be Americans or directly linked to one of the known Epstein coalition countries, are known for scamming and defrauding states, not individuals, just institutions. So that was the first reason, but there is also a second reason. The second reason is that America, in the past few days, has frozen more than $300 million in cryptocurrencies. They were in Iran's possession, and it was believed they were in Iran's possession, and it was also thought that they came from the fees Iran imposes on ships in the city of Hormuz. So this made them move away from using cryptocurrency as well, and directly switch the payment method to the Central Bank of Iran. As of now, there is no precise information about how this payment was made. Was it in Toman, the local Iranian currency, or in Chinese yuan, or in US dollars, or in something else? So this, on the other hand, this freezing of funds by America may have exposed and revealed all of Trump's lies, because when America officially announces that it has frozen Iranian funds, it was a result of the fees from the city of Hormuz. This first reveals who really controls the city of Hormuz. This is an American admission. Secondly, this reveals that Iran was indeed imposing and receiving fees for the passage of ships. Thirdly, it clearly shows that the ships that pay Iran pass without any obstacles, any barriers. In other words, there isn't an American blockade. Why would you pay Iran if there was an American blockade and you couldn't leave the city of Hormuz? So this is proof that there is no American blockade on Iran or on the city of Hormuz as Trump claims. And the proof is that Iran is receiving the money and America is freezing those funds and openly admitting it. So things have become clear here as well. Dear viewers, today we will talk about a very important point, which is that when Iran said it received the first installment of these fees in the central bank, it did not reveal exactly how much this installment was. Was it from a single ship or from multiple ships? What is the exact amount? Iran did not reveal this, but we find that there are different reports, because some of the reports came as a result of statements by Iranian officials. They said that the fees are set at $2 million for each ship, while other reports said that the fees are set at $1 for each barrel of oil, and oil tankers are known to carry loads ranging from about 500,000 barrels to 4 million barrels of oil, depending on the size of the tanker. Is it small? Is it medium? Is it large? So before this war, according to Reuters news agency, about 150 ships used to pass through the Strait of Hormuz every day. This means that Iran's annual revenue from the Strait of Hormuz would be estimated at around $60 to $120 billion. So, we're talking about huge numbers here. We're talking about massive amounts of money that Iran would make from the Strait of Hormuz just from fees alone. In just 5 years, Iran would have earned more than $500 billion. Keep in mind that Iran's current GDP is only about $400 billion because of the sanctions. But of course, the end of this war would be conditional on lifting those sanctions. This means that Iran's GDP will immediately jump to around $600 billion. This is just in the first year, and it will grow significantly after 5 years, reaching $1 trillion or $1,000 billion. So imagine with me what Iran will be like then, without sanctions, with huge amounts of money it earns from the Strait of Hormuz, a country making an extra $200 or $300 billion every year. What will this country look like? Especially since we're talking here about Iran that manufactures, that produces, that always invests in science, in industrial and military development. So the Strait of Hormuz today has become a political and economic tool in Iran's hands. And this is the new shift resulting from this war today. Some say that Iran does not have the right to impose transit fees, meaning through the Strait of Hormuz. They say this step is not legal and contradicts the law of the sea. In reality, Iran is not imposing these fees for passage. It's very clear and says it openly. The fees are service fees, not transit fees. The service is ensuring safe passage, which Iran provides, so it imposes fees for that. And also, before anything else, just to make things completely clear for everyone, originally, Iran did not ratify this law of the sea, which means Iran is not bound by it at all. It's the same as the United States, which also did not ratify this law. That's why we see that the United States imposes sanctions on countries and intercepts ships, because it considers this to be according to its own laws, not according to international law. So today, Iran is doing the same thing. It has the right to enforce its own laws on these maritime straits by force. That's why, for example, when France intercepts a Russian oil tanker, it can't seize the ship. It only checks the legality and the validity of the flag that the ship is flying, then releases it afterward. Meanwhile, America has complete freedom to deal with this ship and can do whatever it wants with the tanker according to its own laws. The difference here is that France is a country that has ratified the law of the sea and is bound by it, while America has not ratified it, so it is not bound by it and relies on its own laws. And here, everyone should note that, in addition to America, there are other countries that have not ratified this agreement, the law of the sea. For example, Israel. We find that Turkey has not ratified it, and we also find that Syria has not ratified this law. These are among the most important countries that have not ratified the law of the sea, so it can adopt its own law as well, provided it can impose it by force, of course, if it has the power to enforce this law by force, just as America does today. Therefore, talking about international law in this case, where Iran is closing the Strait of Hormuz, is far from reality. Iran is also imposing this by force. Whoever wants to open the strait today and prevent Iran from imposing fees must also use force. Iran has the right to do whatever it wants with this strait. So today, dear viewers, I won't take much of your time. This is what we had for today. Just as a clarification, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time.